Hello, 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 citizens. Welcome to the Writer's Corner podcast, episode 31, the first episode of 2016. Welcome to a brand new format, actually, and that's something I want to discuss right off the bat. I am going to be switching up the format a little bit so that there's a little bit more order and schedule to this podcast. The first block of the podcast is going to be pop culture news, and that's pretty much where I'm going to take 4 new headlines in the world of pop culture at the current time and just talk about it a little bit. It's not going to be too in-depth. Just wanted to read a few headlines that I read and discuss them because part of the creative process for me is really getting into the world of entertainment. I love the creativity that flows through film, television, video games, etc. And I like to keep up to date on what's new and current. So I thought I'd share that with you guys as well. For those of you who don't always keep up with what's going on and you want to know, I'm going to discuss it. And then I'm going to go to the second block, which is my weekly update on Lexington and Fifth, my brand new novel that I'm going to be writing all year long on Wattpad. Every week I'm going to be publishing a brand new chapter, and I'm going to be giving you guys an exclusive update 2 days before the chapter is published. Of course, this is the first episode of the week, so I'm going to be giving you guys an exclusive look at the first chapter. Just kind of setting up the story for you guys, what the first chapter is going to deal with. I'm also going to be doing something pretty cool where I have a new song of the week that kind of inspires each chapter. Not in terms of the story, just in terms of this song really motivated me while I wrote. So I'll talk about that, and then I'll set up what's going to happen in week 2. Block number 3 is going to be my book review of the week. That's where I'm going to take a book, a short story, a novella, a comic book, whatever you want. I'm going to be doing a book review, and I'm going to just read a few notes that I wrote down, and if you want to read the full review, you'll be able to go check it out on my blog, authorAnthonyAvina.tumblr.com. And then finally, Block 4 is going to be the main topic of the week. Now, this week's topic is going to be alternate endings. This is a new topic I want to do off and on throughout the year, and this podcast in general, where I discuss an alternate ending to one of my stories, to one of my books. And the first one I'm going to tackle is I Was a Teenage Killer, my most popular, my bestseller. This is the best book I've had published that has really resonated with a lot of people. So that is the new format, guys, and let's get right into it. This is the Writer's Corner, episode 31. So first, let's talk about pop culture news. First up, as is very popular right now, I'm going to talk about Star Wars. I'm going to talk about how Star Wars has finally passed Furious 7 and Avengers Age of Ultron at the box office. The film, as of January 5th, has amassed a total of $1.536 billion. That's pretty impressive, guys. And this film is quickly on track to become the most financially, popular film to date, in cinematic history, in fact. It's only trailing Jurassic World, Titanic, and Avatar at the box office, and it's already on its way to passing all of those. So I'm very excited about this. This new Star Wars film was amazing. If you guys haven't read or seen my review yet, you can check it out on YouTube in the reviews playlist, or you can go to my blog, or the website even, ONREQUESTmag.com has my official review. So check it out on any of those and see what my thoughts and impressions were of the film. Next, I have a little snippet news of the upcoming Batman Superman film from Superman himself, Henry Cavill. He just went on record as saying that although they have this element in the film, Batman Superman is not intentionally addressing the destruction caused at the end of Man of Steel. It's not a plot device used to satiate the fans, but rather to kind of fuel the different character storylines. And this is a big debate in the community because a lot of people had a problem with the destruction in Man of Steel, while I am on the other half where It was an alien invasion at the end of the film. He was one man trying to stop Zod. He'd been a superhero for like a couple days and really hadn't been training. So I think when faced with those odds, you still have a lot of work to do before you're, thinking about getting everything away from the city and everything. So I thought Man of Steel was great. I think Batman Superman is going to be even better. And I'm glad Henry Cavill spoke up about it. So there you go. Item number 3 in our pop culture news roundup. Sylvester Stallone has officially said he's done playing Rambo. Now, while I think this news was way overdue, because there's only so many times a person can play a character before it's run into the ground, I'm glad that he's stepping up and saying, you know what, I've had enough, my body's had enough, it's done, let someone else take the reins for a while. So as of right now, Sylvester Stallone is done playing Rambo. John Rambo is gone. And finally, item number 4. There are 2 big game developments right now that are being delayed a little bit. For you PlayStation fans, Uncharted 4 has been pushed back to April 2016. It's not too much of a pushback, but still, for those of you who are excited about its release, it looks like it is being pushed back till April of this year. Now, all you AC fans, your Assassin's Creed fans out there, myself included, the new game, which there's usually a game every year, Assassin's Creed Empire might be being pushed back until 2017. There's no official word yet. The studio isn't saying anything. Their only response was that they can't comment on current projects. However, if a game is pushed back, as disappointing as that may be, we still have Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which is amazing. And there's going to be the first ever Assassin's Creed film coming out this year. It's still on track to release, starring Michael Fassbender, and the film sounds amazing from what I've seen. So, there you go. Those were just a few of the headlines I saw as I was doing my research and checking things out. And I hope you guys enjoyed that new little clip. Excuse me for a second. Now, let's get to the weekly update on my new story, Lexington and 5th. For those of you who don't know about this is a brand new project I'm going to be tackling all year long in 2016. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be publishing a chapter a week until the end of 2016, at which point I should have 52 chapters, a complete novel. This is a horror story set during the holidays. What it's about is this young woman named Ella who I don't want to give too much away, but something tragic happens during her college years. And the story is going to start off during that tragedy, and then it's going to jump ahead 8 years. And it's going to pick up with her and the people involved where they're at now. And it's a story of revenge. It's a story of survival. It's got, love. It's got heartbreak. It's got terror. You can't even imagine. The first chapter that's going to be published January 8th, this Friday. It's going to be introducing the person who is kind of central to the whole story, but isn't the main character. I'll say the person's name is Andrew. And let's just say what's going to happen with Andrew is going to dictate how this story plays out. The song of the week, the song that I thought motivated me the most was Focus by Ariana Grande. It's a great song. It's, energy fueled. It gets the heart pumping. And it really is a great song to start the new year off too. It tells me, hey, focus on the story. Focus on what your task, where you want the character to go. And it really got me, focused on getting this first chapter written. I think that's the hardest part, is starting the writing process. Now that I've started the writing process and I've completed chapter 1, all that's left is to edit it a little bit and then post it to Wattpad on Friday. So make sure you guys tune in to my Wattpad, and I will make sure to start including the link to that story down below. And you guys can look me up on Wattpad, author Anthony Avina. Follow me if you aren't already, and you guys will get weekly updates to the story. You'll get a new chapter every week. Next week is going to be the first chapter. You're introduced to Ella. She'll be in college, and it's going to be the setup for the tragedy she undergoes. So, that is my Lexington and 5th Week 1 update. Now, I have a special surprise for you. I'm going to be doing a book review. This is something I'm going to try and do every week. There may be some weeks that are slower than others and won't have any book reviews for you. And there might be weeks that I have an abundance of book reviews. But this week we have one that I published just a few weeks ago. It's Bled by Eddie Slane. This is a horror story. I did receive a free copy of this from the author and from my book review company that I kind of work with, Book Lover Cat Lady Publicity. And I got this story just in return for a fair and honest review. So, just a few notes. If you want to read the full review, you can go to my blog, authorAnthonyAvina.tumblr.com. Here are my thoughts on this story. The story is called Bled by Eddie Slane. It's really not often that a book or story chills me to my very core. I mean, I've read some really, really scary stories and stories that left goosebumps in its wake. Yet, Bled by Eddie Slane really left me shivering, left me tense, uncomfortable, and it was artfully sculpted with terror. It's a crime thriller serial killer tale that does take place during the holidays. Cassie is a young woman caught in a deadly game where sex and violence often become intertwined. In Charleston, Illinois, Cassie and Frank engage in a bloody tryst, leaving Frank to limp away battered and angry. Needing a change of view and to get away from a destructive relationship, Cassie flies to Italy, where she falls in love with a new stranger who lights a fire in her heart. Yet the violence and pain of her past quickly catch up to her, and she is left to fight for not only her life, but the life of her new lover. This is definitely an adult book, guys. This is not a book I would recommend for young kids, teenagers. If you are a teenager, I would get your parents' permission to read this. This is definitely an adult book. But you adults out there, if you like, erotic stuff, if you like horror, if you like really scary, like skin-crawling stories, this is a good story for you. It's definitely heavy on the horror element. Murder, death, violence are around every corner. The characters are really well developed, and there is a lot of great descriptive elements for every scene that's set up in this book. You can almost visualize the book coming to life from the page itself. There is a great twist ending, and there's a lot of truly dark characters that are brought to life that I've seldom read all together in a story like that. So I recommend this book if you enjoy graphic, chilling stories, and I think you guys, if you like that kind of stuff, should go pick up your copy of Bled by Eddie Slane today. Well, there you go, guys. That was my book review of Bled by Eddie Slane. And if you guys have any books you'd like me to read, if you guys are authors yourself who want your book read for a fair, honest review, just contact me through any of my social media sites and we can discuss that. And also, every month I do a book wrap-up and a January to be read, or a to be read video on my YouTube channel, one which will be going up this Friday. And if you guys want your books to be included in the to be read section of the video, go ahead and send me your information. And if you guys want to hear more of my book reviews and stuff, you guys can go check out that video as well. Alright guys, finally the main event. This is going to be me just discussing a possible alternate ending to I Was a Teenage Killer. Excuse me for a second. Alright guys, so when I first started writing I Was a Teenage Killer, I wasn't quite sure if I was going to make this into a full out series. I wasn't sure if this was a story or a character that could be developed over time. I didn't have the idea for the sequels, I Was a Teenage Zombie or I Was a Teenage Demon, until closer to the end of the book. But when I first started writing the book, I thought this could be a one-hit wonder, or a one-hit story, to say. And this teenage killer, could go out in a blaze of glory. Her legend would live on after her, but she would be dead, for sure dead. No coming back. She would not be a Jason or a Michael Myers type of character who just wouldn't die or would come back. She would be gone, and what would be left in her wake would be just a bone-chilling legacy. So the alternate ending I could have written is, if you've read the story, you'll understand. If you haven't read the story and don't want to be spoiled, I recommend you stop the podcast for about 3 or 4 minutes. Go pick up your copy of I Was a Teenage Killer, either in book or paperback format, ebook or paperback format, and read it so that you won't be spoiled. Or you can just skip to the end of the podcast. But either way, spoilers ahead. Alright, so the teenage killer, Lisa Etron, set up this elaborate prom violent slaying to where she would take out a bunch of her classmates at a hotel or something during the prom. And she ended up killing her co-conspirator and, follower, Kara. She also killed her supposed best friend's boyfriend, Paul Henry. And then she proceeded to take this main character, this guy she had fallen for, or thought she had fallen for, named Dave. She took him and had sex with him, and then tried to convince him to be a killer like her, to join her in her quest for fame and glory as a serial killer. And of course he was mortified, and she was gonna kill him, but was instead shot to death by the lead detective in the murder case. And Dave was saved, but not before his parents were tragically killed beforehand by Kara. So that was originally the story's ending. Some kids did die, but it wasn't as bad as Lisa would have wanted, because they had managed to get a good majority of the kids out of the prom. My alternate ending would have been, that was it. That she got shot by the detective, and those who survived would go on battered and psychologically traumatized, but they would survive. But if you've read the story, the ending I went with was, after all of that, her body was reanimated. She became a zombie, and it was kind of a mind, body, soul trilogy, where I Was a Teenage Killer focused on the mind of a serial killer of true evil, and how it could reside in anyone, not just the classic serial killer that we think of in our head, but girl next door, all-American girl, cheerleader type could also harbor the mind of a demented killer. I Was a Teenage Zombie dealt with the body, how does evil really die, if evil is strong enough, can it come back, even if it's thought to be gone and dead? And that's what happened. I was a teenage zombie. And then I was a teenage demon, dealt with the soul, how evil can twist and corrupt a soul and can come back in a demonic form. So that's where I ended up going with the trilogy. But if I had gone with my alternate ending, the story would have ended with I was a teenage killer. It would have been a simple, summer slasher, teenage killer roundup thing. It would have been just a one-off novel. But I'm glad that I ended up going with the book's original ending, where I left it open for the sequels. I'm really proud of that trilogy. It's one of my favorite stories I've written, and I hope you guys will go pick up your copies of the trilogy and tell me what you guys think. So that's everything, guys. That was the episode 31, the first episode of 2016 of the Writer's Corner podcast. In the comments below, either on YouTube or in the review section of iTunes or SoundCloud, please tell me what you think of the new format, what you'd like to see added, changed. If you guys have books you want me to review, whether you're an author or you're just a fan who wants a book reviewed, let me know down below as well. Tell me what other books you think I should discuss for alternate endings, and what you'd like to see me discuss next time on the Writer's Corner podcast. To all of our listeners, either on YouTube, SoundCloud, or iTunes, I just want to say thank you for tuning in. 2016 is going to be a great year for us, and I can't wait to share everything with you that's going to happen. And I can't wait to continue building the Writer's Corner podcast up as the amazing podcast I know it can be. Thank you for tuning in. Please give this video a big thumbs up on YouTube. Check out all our social media links down below in the description box. Like this video, comment on it, favorite it, and share it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. If you are watching or listening to this on SoundCloud or iTunes, please subscribe to the podcast on either one of those, and leave your reviews telling us what you think of the podcast. And of course on YouTube, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and check out that eye in the sky in the right corner there to see today's recommended videos. Thank you guys so much for tuning in this week. I will be back next week with episode 32, and you guys have a fantastic week. Long days and pleasant nights, my friends.